Shalom, Kol Aloyim Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. What I want to do in this video is showcase 3 different economists and hedge fund managers, basically people who are well versed in the financial world, and we're going to get their opinion and their foresight on how they see the world in the next few months, or just based upon what's happening with this Iran war. And what we're going to see is that they're all basically saying the same exact thing, which is exactly what the scriptures say. The scriptures prophesy of a time like never was nor shall be. Jeremiah, our forefather, called it Jacob's trouble. Various prophets saw these visions, such as Esdras being one of the more prominent, more detailed ones. Now, this is important because what they're saying lines up with end-time prophecy, and this is how we know that we're living in the end. We can just measure the time diligently in ourselves, meaning we can look out in the world and see what's going on. But the Lord put the spirit on certain of these, quite frankly, Edomite economists to also push out there what they see based on their own forecasts and different trends in history. So we're going to look at 3 of them. We're going to look up who they are, because you may not know, because it highlights how important what they're saying is. And then we'll grab some precepts. So this first one is Peter Schiff on Yahoo Finance. The title says, Peter Schiff says an economic reckoning is nigh. 2008 will look like a Sunday school picnic. Protect your nest egg now. That's what he says. So who is Peter Schiff? All right, I just put it in Google. It says Peter David Schiff is an American stockbroker, financial commentator, and radio personality. He co-founded Echelon Wealth Partners in Canada. He is involved in other financial services companies, including, and it goes on at the very top, he co-founded Echelon Wealth Partners in Canada. He is involved in other financial services companies, including Euro Pacific Asset Management, as an independent investment advisor, and Schiff Gold. He also criticized U.S. banking and credit practices. So this dude knows nothing but finances. This is what the Lord raised him up to be, raised him up to know. He knows all about financial trends, and he's predicted things in the past, and we're going to read a little bit of what he's predicting in the near future. Let's jump down. Right? Economist Peter Schiff made his name by predicting the 2008 financial crisis. Now he sees something even more fiscally ominous on the horizon, and this time he believes it's coming straight for the U.S. We are headed for an economic crisis again that will make the 2008 financial crisis look like a Sunday school picnic. The biggest difference between the crisis that we're about to have and the one we had back then is this one is all in America. It's all in America, he's saying. Schiff's comments came before the U.S. declared war on Iran. So he said this before this war even started. Now, when was this article published? This article was published 2 days ago. So you see, they do these interviews, whatever, and then they write up the article. They probably get it edited a few times, get it checked by their peers, and then they publish it. But he said this, he predicted this before this war with Iran. We're going to get somebody else, and he's going to talk about what he predicts happening because of the war with Iran. And actually, that's it. So we got Peter Schiff. We know who he is and what he does and what he said. Now, the next one is Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio says there are 13 steps to World War III, and we are now at 9. This article was published or updated April 8th. Who is Ray Dalio? Ray Dalio is a billionaire investor, author, and founder of Bridgewater Associates, which he built into the world's largest hedge fund. So Ray Dalio is a billionaire investor and hedge fund manager. He owns the world's largest hedge fund, known for developing innovative investment strategies like risk parity and all-weather. He is also a best-selling author of books on economic principles. So when this man gives a prediction, we should listen to it, especially if it lines up with biblical prophecy. Ray Dalio says there are 13 steps to World War III, and we are now at 9. Dalio has spent about 50 years studying centuries of history to identify economic, democratic, and military patterns and cycles that initially informed investment decisions at the pioneering asset manager, Bridgewater Associates. Let's jump down. This is what he said. Because most people tend to have this short-term perspective, they now expect, and the markets are pricing in, that this war won't last long, and that when it ends, we will get back to normal. Virtually nobody is talking about the fact that we are in the early stages of a world war that isn't going to end anytime soon. This is what a billionaire hedge fund owner is saying. We are in the early stages of a world war, is what he says, that isn't going to end anytime soon. And that's what we're saying. All these so-called peace talks, and U.S. is sending their, like a 15-point plan, and Iran sends their 10 or vice versa back, but then their points of negotiation have nothing to do with each other. Meanwhile, there's supposed to be no more a pause in strikes, but then you have Israel, and they're like, well, that doesn't include us. We can... Nothing but confusion. So Iran said, look, man, we closing it straight back up, and we're defending ourselves. We're shooting off some drones too. So more than likely, this thing is just going to continue to escalate. Things are going to get worse and worse for these Babylonians here, but that's a good thing for the servants of the Lord, because we're looking forward to this place going down. And now you have different economists and financial advisors saying, look, things are going to get worse than the '08 crisis. This world war is just in the beginning, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So we got Peter Schiff, we got Ray Dalio, and now who's this last one? My man Ashba put me onto this. I never heard of this dude before. Steve Keen. The title says, Aussie economists who predicted the global financial crisis issues a warning on... let me read this again. Aussie economists who predicted the global financial crisis issues a warning as Iran crisis drags on. It would cause a global famine. Once again, who is Steve Keen? Steve Keen is a prominent Australian heterodox economist and author known for his critique of neoclassical economics and his accurate prediction of the 2008 financial crisis. These are people who they live in the world of finances. They know what they're talking about. They're not just randomly saying, oh, well, let me just predict this random famine. Let me just randomly predict that another crisis is going to be here that's worse than the '08 crisis. No, they're seeing specific trends. They know that this is coming, and they're given the warning. But you see, people hear these things, they read it, they see what's happening with the war in Iran, and just like Ray Dalio said, they think that this is short term and things are just going to go back to normal, just like they did with COVID. Even if it lasts like 2 years, the world just has to continue. That's their mindset. But if you understood biblical prophecy, you would know that these things more than likely are going to continue to escalate until it just spirals out of control, and then we're fully in Jacob's trouble. We're in the beginning of Jacob's trouble right now. but people still got their jobs, still going on vacation. You can still hit up your favorite restaurant. You can order food, DoorDash, whatever. When Jacob's trouble is fully here, it ain't gonna be none of that no more. None of that. It's gonna be a completely different world than what we're used to. It's gonna be uncomfortable, but the Lord said that his servants are gonna be okay. Gonna eat, drink, be merry-hearted. So here we go. Steve Keen, another economist, he predicted the '08 crisis, and this is what he's saying. This war in Iran could cause a global famine. Steve Keen, who predicted the '08 financial crash, said on Monday that without synthetic fertilizers, the earth could sustain just 1 to 2 billion people, a fraction of today's global population of around 8 billion. The result, he argued, would be stalled fertilizer production, sharply reduced crop yields, and a contraction in global food supply, raising the risk of widespread famine. There we go. And the scriptures talk about all these things. So let's jump to it. Matthew 24, the first one is verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, talking about what's going to happen in these end days. It's going to be great tribulation. This is what Yahushua is telling us. Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So what we're approaching very soon is a time like never was, nor shall be. Worse than the '08 crisis. Worse than the, 1929 Great Depression. Worse than all those things. No more Great Depression. Ain't nobody going to be talking about that no more. We're going to be talking about Jacob's trouble. Just like how in the kingdom we ain't going to be talking about the first exodus out of Egypt. We're going to be talking about this new upcoming exodus out of this spiritual Egypt, which is Babylon the Great. So Jacob's trouble is going to make 1929, '08 look like a walk in the park. Look like a good time back then. But that's how bad it's going to be. When we jump over to 2 Ezra 15, verse 10, it says, Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, referring to America. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt, America, with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof, because eventually this entire land will be destroyed in World War III and when those chariots return. Egypt shall mourn, meaning the people, and the foundation of it shall be smitten shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that God shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, the farmers, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. So we can see that if this war with Iran continues to escalate and Iran just keeps this straight close, which more than likely they will, that this could lead to a global famine. And most definitely here in Babylon the Great, people think that what's going on over there isn't going to affect us in a deep manner. Like people think that gas prices getting high is just the end all be all. And maybe, milk rises a little bit, to get some eggs gets a little bit more costly, but that's the furthest out that people see. They have no clue that one day you're not going to have a house. You won't have your job. You're not going to be worried about paying your car note because you won't have gas to put in your car and go to no job anyway. Your number one worry is going to be about protection and eating. Where can I get some food, and where can I just lay my head at night peacefully? These are the plagues that the Lord is bringing upon this place. Nothing but chaos, disaster, people looting and rioting, and of course famine. And you can read, of course, you should have read this plenty of times by now, verse 14 down through 19. But when we jump over, and I'll just make this the last precept, 2nd Ezra 9, I want to get to the point. Can't make my videos too long. My phone won't save it. 2nd Ezra 9 verse 3 says, "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand, that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." Nah, hold on. Yeah, that's cool. But I think what I was thinking about was in the... Yeah, it was in the same chapter. 2nd Ezra 15, verse 5, a little higher up. It says, "Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world. Sword, famine, death, destruction." Point blank, period. It's what I quoted in the spirit, and the scriptures lay it out perfectly, plain upon tables. Famine is coming, a lack of bread, a lack of food, lack of water, death and destruction. And we know, Revelation 11, I believe verse 14, the second woe is past, referring to World War II. And the third woe cometh quickly, World War III. What did Ray Dalio say? This war is not going to stop. He doesn't see it stopping anytime soon. And this is the beginning of a world war, which is World War III. So all these things, all these end time prophecies are currently coming to pass right now. Your faith should be on 10 right now. Your faith should be on 10, understanding that Yahushua is about to be on his way back very, very soon. Things are going to get worse, but that's okay, because if you're a part of the elect and you should be putting on as the elect, then the Lord said that we're going to eat in these days. We're going to be okay. He's going to be our guide, as 2nd Ezra 16 says. So look forward to these perilous times, because that's when all we have to do is just rely on faith. And that's how we want to live anyway. So call Elohim Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakha Kodash. Lord willing, this was edifying to the elect. Shalom.